Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another Destiny video. Now in this video, going to be doing something a little bit different. I am going to be talking about the lack of raid in House of Wolves, but more specifically what I think about it. See, normally I bring you guys the information, I tell you how it is, tell you what you need to know, and that's normally kind of devoid of a lot of my opinion. So, I know a lot of you guys have been asking me since the announcement's been made, what I think of this, what I think of there being no raid, and I figured, you know what, it's about time I actually kind of finally let you know what I think. So, this video is going to be a little bit different to my usual one, not quite as structured, not any kind of like scripting or anything like that. It's basically just going to be me talking off the top of my head about what I think about it and about what I think it means for kind of Destiny's future. So, with that being said, to start it off with, do I mind that there is no raid in the House of Wolves? And in short, no. No, I don't. And that might come across as strange to you because arguably raids are one of, if not the best thing to do in Destiny. And I don't disagree with that. You know, I love raids. I love the fact that you can band together with 6 people. You can go in and kind of do some like ridiculously hard content that will, at the very first time, I mean, there's nothing better than the feeling of going to the raid the very first time. You know, now everyone can kind of complete Arekkz raid or the Vault of Glass in, you know, probably about an hour, maybe quicker, something like that. But the first time you do it, you are stuck in there for a very long time, even if you're some of the best teams. I mean, okay, admittedly, Arekkz raid got completed a little bit too fast, but the point is, normally, you're in a raid for countless hours. I mean, I remember the Vault of Glass, the first time I was in there for like 13 hours, something like that, and then Arekkz raid. I mean, Arekkz raid actually took me a little bit longer in some respects, because everyone was kind of like under-leveled, so we kind of got stuck on Crota. But anyway, that's not the point. This isn't about Arekkz raid. The point is, yes, raids are amazing, and yes, the kind of initial sort of experience when you first go in is a really, really cool thing, just kind of banding together to work out how to kind of complete the mechanics. However, there is obviously, or there should be, a position, we should be kind of in a position later on in the year, or later on in Destiny's kind of like life cycle, where there is more to do than just raid. You think about like other MMOs, you know, they have like, raids are obviously a big thing in MMOs in general, you know, you kind of like, it's one of the things you work towards, you get your gear up and all that kind of good stuff, but there is other stuff to do. And right now, while yes, Destiny does have Crucible, beyond Crucible and beyond raiding, there isn't any other kind of like high-level endgame content. And that is the problem. For Destiny to grow as a game, for Destiny to become kind of what we want it to become this kind of expansive, like, massive universe with loads and loads of stuff to do, it needs to have more content, it needs to have other stuff to do. And see, this is the problem. The problem is, like, if Bungie stuck to the formula they've got, if every single time a DLC came out, they kind of added in, say, 3 to 6 missions, they added in a few new Crucible maps, and then they added in a raid, fine, it would be good, you know, kind of it'll keep people for a few months, until everyone maxed out their stats, until everyone kind of gets all the armor they want, and then everyone reaches the burnout period again. And this is the problem, because something like DLC, like, cast your mind back to when Destiny first came out. The raid wasn't active, or the raid wasn't open the very first day Destiny came out. It came, like, I think it was a week or 2 later, something like that, which meant that everyone had time to kind of, you know, level the characters up, get all the gear they needed, and prep for when the raid was going to drop, which was a really cool feeling, because, you know, when they announced the date for it, you know, some people weren't still quite at the level they needed to be. I mean, I, for example, went into the raid the very first time as a level 25. I was the level 25 shield bearer relic guy, and mate, I did a good job. But anyway, the point is that it was kind of really cool, because they set the date down, they were like, right, the raid is going to open on this date, so everyone's manically rushing together, kind of trying to sort of like prepare and do everything. But the Dark Below came out, and they released all these cool new story missions, they released loads of other stuff to do, but they also released the raid at the same time. And I, for one, you know, being a YouTuber, trying to bring you guys the content you want to see, I know the most interesting thing would have been the raid. So I therefore skipped all the content, I didn't do any story missions at the beginning, and I went straight into the raid. I was obviously under level, which is obviously why it took us a bit longer, but the point is, I went into the raid, and I kind of like worked my way through there, which meant that until sort of like a couple of days later, I didn't really get a chance to experience what the Dark Below is about, the story. I just went into the raid just being like, endgame content, that's all I want to do. So in some ways it kind of ruined the Dark Below for me. You know, I didn't really kind of go into it trying to experience the story or trying to experience sort of some of the other stuff. I just went straight in for what I wanted. So by not introducing the raid at the beginning of the House of Wolves does lay the foundation for this. Bungie have confirmed that later in the year, they didn't say whether it will come with the comic expansion or whether it will come before, so it could well be, you know, I'm putting my money on, say, like a summer raid. I think to myself, you know, E3 is just around the corner, so I think at E3 we'll probably see some sort of trailer for, like, the next big expansion like Comet, plus I think we might even see a glimpse of the raid. And what they could then do is when everyone's kind of reaching the second burnout period, they could drop the raid in summer, you then use that as a means to kind of keep you busy again, and then before you know it, everyone's geared up and then Comet is out again. And also don't forget the way that Destiny works with the level cap is that leveling is done through gear. So right now, House of Wolves looks like it's going to be level 34, but it could well be when they drop the raid later on, they could say, you know, in preparation for Comet, that they drop a raid during the summer, they also increase the level cap again. I mean, I think this is probably unlikely, but I'm just saying, the way that Destiny works, this is kind of how it could be. They might just say, you know, House of Wolves, you get level 34, they drop a raid, say increase to level 36, and then suddenly everyone's raiding again and everyone's kind of got something to do again. So, the fact that there is a raid going to be coming in the future means that we have something to look forward to, means we have something to work up towards, and just in general kind of like gives us something to kind of aim for. That being said, it's not all about the raid, and this is what I want to talk about. Adding in the Prison of Elders, this is new high-level 3-man content. Now, I personally really enjoy strikes. I love strikes, but I just don't do them as much as I should or as much as I would like to, because to be honest, there's no real value in them. You know, I do my heroics just to get my strange coins if Sue's selling something, which he's not going to be anymore because I've got all the exotics. So, therefore, I don't really need to do heroics. I don't need to do nightfalls because unless I want some free experience, again, I don't need the exotics. And then obviously the only kind of other thing I do is occasionally I do some rock strikes just so I can get a fancy ship, which arguably is pointless anyway, but the point is that's what I do. So right now, strikes are a really cool thing because working together as a smaller unit, I mean, flipping it on its head, working together as a massive team is also cool, so if they did do like 10-man, 20-man raids, I would be all for that. But working together, there's something to be said for working together as a really small team. So if there was like a high-level strike, something that you could actually do, I mean, yes, I know nightfalls are technically high-level strikes, but it's still not quite the same thing. I'm talking like end-game content. So by adding in the Prison of Elders, which is a 3-man kind of setup, suddenly gives us a new style of endgame content. Now we have, and also don't forget that they've said that the Trials of Osiris will yield endgame gear. So now we have the Trials of Osiris, we have the potential of a raid in the future, and we have the Prison of Elders. 3 different ways to earn endgame gear. Now think about how Destiny is right now. The only way you can earn endgame gear is through raiding. Yes, you can get a bit through Iron Banner, but you can't get a complete set right now. So the point is, the only way you can completely just like independently farm endgame gear is through a raid. Meaning that Destiny is always going to be the same thing. You know, you look right now at like other MMOs, you look at like Guild Wars, you look at World of Warcraft, you look at like, pick any MMO. Go to any of the social spaces, look at the max level characters, and yes, there'll be some people wearing the same gear, but there will also be a variety. And that is the problem. In Destiny, right now, bar the exotic armor piece you're wearing, everybody looks the same, if they're level 32. You're always going to have either 4 pieces of, you know, Crotasen raid gear. Yes, some people have swapped it out for Iron Banner, but the point is, pretty much everyone that is level 32 looks the same. And this is not a good thing. You know, you need to have variety. You need to, I want to know where someone's come from. Like, for example, if it comes to a point in the future whereby someone's wearing Child of Osiris gear, someone's wearing, like, the House of Wolves raid gear when it comes out, someone's wearing, like, Prison of Elders gear, you can then look at them and instantly know where they've been. You know their story. As opposed to right now, you're just like, well, you know, this guy and this guy, they look the same. It might well be that the guy on the right is, like, a PvP, like, demon, and he just, like, loves PvP, but obviously he had to do the raid to max up. And it might be the person on the left is really, really good in raiding, but isn't necessarily, you know, a force to be reckoned with. Their armor should say that. Their armor should tell that story. But anyway, yes, the point is that having this new Prison of Elders thing is not only a high-level 3-man content, but it's also an additional way to get more gear. Which therefore means if this works and people like it and people receive it well, then in future updates, we could have much more expansive DLC. Imagine if the formula then went from being 3 new story missions, you know, 2 new Crucible maps, a new strike, and a new raid, to having also, you know, a new raid, some more high-level PvP content, some more high-level 3-man content, and before you know it, everyone's doing different things, and then the variety starts to spread. And that, my friends, is why I don't mind there not being a raid. Now, I know some of you guys are probably going to think, well, you know, you just love Destiny, you're defending Bungie. I'm not defending Bungie. I do still personally question some of the decisions they have made in the past. However, that being said, Bungie are also a great team, they are a great studio, and they have got a great heritage, and they do know what they're doing. Yes, obviously everybody is learning in this respect, right? This is obviously a new thing for them, you know, having gone from like what they used to do in the past to go into this. This is a new thing. Obviously, playing a game like a service, obviously like an online growing system world kind of thing, is completely different to playing a complete product once it comes out on disc. So this is obviously a learning process for both the players and for the team themselves. But as a game like this, it'll never be exactly what you want when it first starts. Now, I appreciate, obviously, it needs to, for a certain extent, be there, because obviously you can't just kind of rely on people saying, alright, we'll wait around. But at the same time, you look at World of Warcraft, say, when it first started versus what it is now. I know this isn't World of Warcraft, but it's just a good comparison. But you look at those and you kind of just sort of see how much it's changed. Destiny needs to learn, Destiny needs to try some new things in order for it to grow in the right way. So, they need to, at times, do things like this where, you know, they drop something that's really important to people so they can try something else, and then if it works, great. If it doesn't, then obviously they know the future. So, that's it from me. It's a little bit longer, so apologies for the kind of rambling, but you guys have been asking kind of like what my opinion is on the matter, so there it is. If you did enjoy this kind of content, then do let me know in the description box down below, because as I said, it's something a little bit different for me, but it's a chance for you guys just to know my genuine opinion. And aside from that, thank you very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.